somehow during COVID, there was a flood of women with perimenopausal symptoms who were seeking some holistic and Vedic coaching. And I'm an Ayurveda practitioner and I do that, but it was a lot. It was almost like the goddess was sending me many feminine clients deliberately because she thought I could help them. And it took me a while to make the connection. And in fact, the influx was quite substantial. We realized that in this 1.5 years, we had about 150 women related imbalances. That was crazy, right? So we started looking at all of the symptoms, everything from puffy face or frozen shoulder or hot flashes that were different in Vata, Pitta, and Kapha women. Kapha women were almost enjoying their hot flashes, and they were more like warm flashes. Pitta women's hot flashes were being described as being burnt from inside and a very strong burning sensation. Vata women also had hot flashes, which are not as terrible as the pitta. So the same symptom, three different women was being described differently. And there were other uncommon symptoms like Vata women would have ringing in the ears, and some people would have an altered taste. Some women would have craving of bitter, and other would have a astringent or a metallic taste on their tongue. A lot of them were having popping and cracking joints, aches and pains, dryness in the mouth, of course, sleep disruptions, digestion changes, wanting to leave their partner of 30 years, and so on and so forth. My name is Monica Groover, and I'm the director of Narayana Institute of Vedic Arts in Florida. So I wrote a book, Ayurveda and the Feminine, which is mentioned quite a bit in this podcast. And I'm talking about my new book, which is either going to be called The Holistic Menopause or The Sacred Yoni. I haven't decided. And I'm talking about perimenopause and menopause and excerpts from my new book. In this podcast, enjoy. Welcome, my beautiful sisters. This book is a place where we can learn, grow, and find ourselves. Think of this book as your Vedic sister, Indian girlfriend, and coaching guide. In my last book, Ayurveda and the Feminine, I talked about what was Ayurveda, the three different types of energies, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, that make us who we are. How we women are creatures of cycles, from the time we take birth literally to the time we die. How the doshas, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, dictate our tastes, our energies, and our hormonal cycles. They dictate how we live in this world within our bodies and how we interact with others, the environment, and our health. And in my last book, I really wanted to show you all how Ayurveda can offer such a beautiful perspective on women's health and our life. And I got to share how I've guided so many amazing women through their ups and downs, from really difficult periods and postpartum struggles to navigating daily life with menstrual issues, heavy bleeding, or no bleeding, or PMS, and so on. And it's been quite a journey with this new book, The Holistic Menopause, or I think I'm going to call it The Sacred Yoni. So, the previous book, many women read it, and the feedback was very positive. And you can see it in the rave reviews on Amazon. People have really appreciated it. And I've also given a lot of freebies to women who can't afford, both in India and here in my community in Florida. Of course, I wanted to make sure those who couldn't afford it could still access it. It's actually sold thousands of copies, which kind of blows my mind. And it's been a real success. It's been very well received. And the funny thing is, one feedback that has come again and again is, when are you coming out with the next book, especially with menopause? Because the previous book was nothing to do with menopause. So allow me to begin by saying the wait is almost over. Yeah, I've been meaning to discuss perimenopause and menopause transition for a considerable period. I've been working with women with these issues and also my own personal experience with this phase. Now I'm at the other end. I'm postmenopause. Now I'm postmenopausal. And I've had 18 years of helping women through this time. So if you'll permit me to share, the initial decade of my perimenopausal journey was quite frankly remarkably positive. So, despite using plant based hormones, yoga, qigong, and meditation, when I was perimenopausal, the improvements I experienced in the first half of my perimenopause were amazing. But the second half allowed me to maintain a certain level of functionality. And this was also the time of COVID. And I was seeing a lot of my female clients in their 40s who were perimenopausal, even late 30s, who were showing the symptoms of perimenopause. And I wonder if COVID was making it worse. All of us were at home. We had to be present for a family, for children, working, and just, you know, make sure everything's functioning. There was no room for personal issues for us. I wonder if that was it. But somehow during COVID, there was a flood of women with perimenopausal symptoms who were seeking some holistic and Vedic coaching. And I'm an Ayurveda practitioner and I do that, but it was a lot. It was almost like the goddess was sending me many feminine clients deliberately because she thought I could help them. And it took me a while to make that connection. And I had a group of Ayurveda wellness counselor students who were going through the certification through my school, Narayana Ayurveda. And we were saying, like, what is it? We do these internships appointment on Zoom, and everyone who's signing up is pretty much, it was either a digestive issue or a perimenopausal issue. It was literally either of the two. So during the period coinciding with the COVID-19 pandemic, so I found myself conducting a significant portion of these sessions with women via Zoom. And unbeknownst to me at the time, it appears the goddess Uma strategically directed a multitude of female clients towards me. And in fact, the influx was quite substantial. And then in 2021, a student and I were compiling all the client encounters and case studies. And we realized that in this 1.5 years, we had about 150 women related imbalances. That was crazy, right? So we started looking at all of the symptoms, everything from puffy face or frozen shoulder or, wanting to leave their partner of 30 years. A light bulb went on for me with these so many different things. It was such an aha moment for me. I would believe the divine, the goddess, was sending me these women, these sisters, and I'd always had a lot of boundaries prior to that, very strict boundaries. I relaxed my boundaries somewhat and started looking at these women who were coming to me as sisters. And I used to hide my psychic abilities and the fact that I was a goddess worshiper. I realized Ayurveda alone was not the answer. The answer was Vedic. The answer was spiritual. And Ayurvedic herbs helped the heavy periods and hot flashes, but the same herbs were preyed upon and offered to the goddess. They helped, their efficacy increased a lot. So the Brahmi and Ashwagandha helped. The Vedic diet helped. Vegetarian Vedic diet, where the food was offered as Naivedyam to the goddess, helped so much. Because the symptoms are not just physical, because there is, life, an entire life of having fear and grief and emotions. It goes into different parts of her body. Kidney processes fear, lungs process grief, liver processes anger. There are things that start, and it obviously doesn't apply to everybody in talking from a very strictly Vedic perspective. So I also came to realize at this time and during COVID that Ayurveda alone, while beneficial, was not the sole solution. The Ayurvedic herbs did indeed offer relief from symptoms, but the rituals, vastu, even I started referring people to TCM, Chinese medicine practitioners, and energy healers as well. So really a more comprehensive approach of various modalities was what was needed. And that was the excerpt from my book. Hope you enjoy.